I know I've only given you a few days to play around with this, but I dropped a new set of tools out there for you to play, test and whatnot.
I've not stopped playing with these things.
Now that's a good answer. Yeah.
You gave it to me.
I did.
I mean, and it's true because I keep thinking about what else could I use it for? What else could I use it for? And not just one thing. Dan, you gave me.
I don't know. We sat here and had
how
10
many
of
tools
them,
are in here?
Yeah.
We whittled down the list to just a couple that we wanted to talk about here, but there's so many more. How many are there? Like too many.
I didn't count them all, but so like what we're talking about is IT tools.
There's like 50.
And we'll give you a link to that, ittools.tech. And yeah, there are a pile of tools, and I've used some of them, quite a bit actually so far. And the one that I used the first, you're going to laugh at this, is actually the Docker run to Docker compose tool. So I took the Docker run line for IT tools, dropped it in the Docker, it converts it to a Docker compose file, and that's how I'm running IT tools.
You didn't even tell me about this one. I don't even what?
Yeah, so it's like fantastic.
I need this one.
So like you'll see this a lot, right? You'll see a little Docker run. This is how you start up your thing, but you're like, that doesn't really jive with my setup, right? Because I've got all these stacks, as Portainer calls them, or Docker compose things, and so you want to convert that into a Docker compose file, a YAML thing, and that little doodad does that for you, like the whole thing.
Yes,
it does all the work.
Okay. Yeah, this is great because I've had to do this manually, and it's terrible. I hate doing this.
It's ripe for error. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, because some and this used to be this way. Some of the projects that would create their own Docker files and stuff would give you the Docker command to run to bring it up, but they wouldn't give you a compose file.
Right.
And so you had to go meticulously, and YAML is hard.
They can
because if you don't get the spacing right, it's like, I don't like you. I'm not running this file. What is this?
Yep.
So you have to go and meticulously, use VS Code or something like that, and it'll help you with it. But still, it's kind of annoying.
And
then having to make sure you... Yeah, and it's like there's so many places for typo. So if you can just take their command and then have it magically convertize to a compose file for you, so that's exactly what this... Okay.
So I totally did that.
You didn't even tell me about the coolest one.
No, I thought I'd start off that way. And so I did it on their, the demo page, right? So I was like, oh, look at this. I do this here. And boom, there it was. And so that's how
this is way cool.
That's how I stood it up to begin with. And so this is way cool. That's super helpful. And so I love this. There's a lot of other YAML tools there too, because like you said, YAML's hard, right? And so you can convert it to TOML or, JSON or whatever, right? So those things are cool. I plan to probably use those in the future. My favorite one though probably is the password analysis tool. Basically checks, see how great your password is. And I love it because I'm self-hosting this. And my password's not going anywhere. I'm just kind of checking it to see what sort of brute force ability it has,
Yeah. And I've always, my tinfoil hat goes on as soon as I see an online password strength.
There's a lot of those.
And I'm like, these dudes are just trying to steal your password. And they're going to get it too.
They might.
Because, did you inspect that JavaScript code to make sure that it actually doesn't copy and then send off your password into some plain text file somewhere on the internet, which is how they get your password, right?
Yeah,
wondered,
we're filling up the rainbow tables, right? Yeah,
exactly. But you've solved that in this case.
Yeah,
by
there's
running
other things to do
locally.
That too locally, but this one is just nice. It's right there in front of you with all the other tools.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So, by the way, folks, if you see an online password strength generator thing, don't just slap your most private password in there. That's a bad idea. That's terrible OPSEC. Don't do that. That's how you lose your password, unless you plan on changing it immediately after, or you've already changed it and you just want to see the strength of your previous password or something like that, right? Right.
Yeah.
As long as you're not actively using it.
But I totally feel less bad about it dropping it in here because I know it's not going anywhere.
Right. And in this case, you can actually prevent a container from exiting your network, right? So, you don't have to worry about the JavaScript code sending stuff out. You can prevent it from sending anything,
you have control.
even if it tries to.
Right.
Yeah. So, okay. This makes Tinfoil Hat Leo very happy. And I might actually use it. Now, those password generators, the ones that you see online a lot of times are not true to life, because I think it's only taken into account brute force, right?
Oh, yeah. No, I get that.
But I do like watching it, and I always say all the time with passwords, more than complexity, more than @ symbols and underscores and uppercase and lowercase, length. Length increases entropy faster than anything else, man. So a 12-character complex password pales in comparison to a 32-character anything. And it could just be letters. And you're still talking about, orders of magnitude more years to brute force that password. Now, if you lose your password because you accidentally copy and paste it to the wrong spot, that's a different story. That's instant. We've cracked your password instantly. But yeah. Anyway, I'll get off my my security soapbox there. But it scares me sometimes when I think about what people do with their passwords.
I know, and it is a little scary. But there's some other tools in the crypto section to kind of do some, encrypt your stuff. Like you can encrypt and decrypt text, and set up hashes, and there's some other good stuff there too. So to keep things secure, but it's not all about security. There's a lot of other stuff here too.
But one of my favorite things is so I work in education, specifically with computers, and I have a lot of people that I have to teach subnetting to, things like that. So I have an IPv4.
Yep.
The IPv4 calculator is fantastic. When we get into the conversation about looking at network information and being able to glean as much information off of that as you possibly can, right? So if someone gives me the MAC address off their Wi-Fi card, I'm like, oh, you've got a Dell, that kind of thing. They've got the MAC address identifier, the vendor,
little
identification stuff. Oh, that's fantastic.
That is great.
And the fact that you can run it locally, right? I always have to, and I'm always wary about it for the same reason I'm wary about doing the password thing. I'm always wary about putting my own MAC addresses into online MAC address lookup things. So I usually take off the last 6 digits of that and just make it up, because it's only the first 6 digits that it works off of, right?
Right.
But now if I run it locally, I don't have to do that. I can just slap it in there and call it a day. Yeah, and know what's going on there.
Yeah,
it's fantastic.
It's real helpful. You see things, get a DHCP lease, and you're like, "What is that device again?" And
yes,
oh yeah, it's the whatchamacallit thingamajig, and and I'm cool with that.
Yeah, or you're not cool with that, and then you have to go get yourself a little.
Yeah, where is that little?
Yeah.
Because I'm going to yoink that thing off the network.
Exactly. You just kill it with fire.
Right.
Get a little network stumbler. It's in this room. I know it's in this, it's in this. It's really strong in here. Yeah.
Yep.
And so I've been on this weird learn HTML and CSS, learn how to do it by hand and all of that stuff. We talked about it. I'm going to say a few episodes ago, but it could have been years ago because we had that long break. But there's a Markdown to HTML converter. So when I take notes, a lot of times, the majority of the time, it's in Markdown format. And when I want to convert those over to something that I may actually want to publish, this is a tool that I would use to just slap it in there. It gives me all the tagging and cool stuff that I would have to manually type in there otherwise. Even having helpers like what VS Code does for you with you open it and it closes it for you. It can still be a little annoying to have to do all of that stuff. So having a converter like this, having already written it out, and then I don't have to do anything else to it, is fantastic. So, just so many good tools. And one of my other favorites is the ASCII art generator.
Oh, I know.
Just because
ASCII art's fun.
Yeah, just because my brain still lives in 1999, and that's the coolest way to do internet graffiti, you know?
Yeah, well, and if you want to make it to the 2000s, they got an emoji picker.
Oh, wait. So how does that work?
So you can scroll through all of the emojis that are available out there that are, accepted or whatever. And
it gives you the Unicode.
It gives you the Unicode stuff. I mean, it's pretty cool. And so you can do there's a search at the top. You can search for the thing that you're looking for. Then you click on it and it copies it to your clipboard.
That's really cool. So Microsoft is Windows key space to bring up a picker. In Mac, it's the function key. You just press it without pressing any other button. Do you know what it is for Linux?
It might depend on your picker.
And your desktop environment.
Right. I almost want to say it's like Windows period, maybe? I don't know.
Okay. So so then it's the same as in Windows, maybe. Actually, maybe that's a good question to ask.
Maybe I mapped it that way just so I could be the same. That might very well be.
Oh, well, that would make a whole lot of sense, which is why the Windows key does the same thing in both operating systems, right?
Yeah. But this is cool too, because some of those pickers, I don't know if they have all of them because they keep adding to these, and so this thing's probably getting updated on a regular.
Yes, absolutely. So so this is fantastic when those things aren't available to you and you still need that picker. Oh man, absolutely, I love this thing. This is great. Now, you don't get the cool custom ones that we have in Discord, though.
No, you don't.
I hand trimmed those.
You did, and they look cool, and that's neat. These are also, it's pretty handy. There's a lot of handy stuff.
Yes.
IT tools.
And there's way more than what we've talked about right here. There's seriously, there's a good 50 or 60 tools in there, and they all have some really cool usefulness to them. But you mentioned running it locally. How can I do that for myself? So I already have Docker installed. We can skip all of that. How hard was it to get this up and running?
Crazy easy. Crazy.
Really? I like crazy easy.
So I'm using Portainer as my Docker management thing.
Okay.
And Portainer, so Docker Compose stuff goes into what they call stacks.
Okay.
So you drop in the Docker Compose into the thing on online, and if you had environment variables that you needed to add, this doesn't have one of those because it's very simple. There's a spot for that as well.
Okay.
In Portainer, and so literally just dropped in the Compose file, told it to spin up. I think I did have to change my port because whatever by
was overlapping or
whatever
something?
By default was already in use, so I changed it.
Right. Does it default to 80 or 80?
I think it was 80, and so I changed it to 8081 or something like that, right? So
cool. Okay, so you would just have to remember the port that you assign it to, or if you're not running any web anything on it, you just leave
then you're good.
To 8080.
You just drop it in.
Yeah.
Yep. And so it was just that easy. It spun right up and pulled it down the image and did the thing.
Yeah, that's one thing that I have to get into that I haven't gotten into is some kind of Docker management tool, because I've got 3 Docker hosts that I run various Docker things in. They're all in Docker Compose, and I think I already have them in the form that Portainer would like them in, right? Like you have a folder for the application that you want to run, and then in that Compose file inside of it, it's got all of the stuff that it needs. And then config files or whatever also live in there.
Yeah, so Portainer lets you do the network config, it lets you do the volume config stuff. So you can totally specify where your things are stored in the volume.
Right.
And you can change, the networks that it's attached to and has available to it and whatnot.
Cool.
All of that stuff's in Portainer. It's kind of great. And so you don't have to do that, though. Obviously, if you're doing Docker Compose stuff now, you just, drop that in the folder that you want it to be in and just Docker Compose up -D and away you go.
Cool. Yeah, I think that's probably how I'll do it initially And then I think this is just the impetus that I needed to dive into it, because I mean we're unwieldy now. I think I'm at like
it's a lot easier when you have a bunch. Yep.
Yeah, right. So there's just so many applications floating around in Docker that it would not be a bad idea to have a single pane of glass to be able to see them all.
That's where it comes in handy.
Then, yeah, right. Being able to kind of puppeteer them all from one spot is really cool.
And I know we had a brief chat about this too. Like, I'm using Portainer, but that's not the only solution out there either.
Right.
We talked about Doc, I don't know how you say it.
I've been saying it DocGE just because I don't know how to say it otherwise.
Yeah, I think it's Dodge, I think.
Is it really?
I don't know. Anyway, it's from the same guy that does Uptime Kuma, which is Louis Lamb.
Okay.
And so like he builds that one, and it's simpler, and it doesn't have as many features, but it still works really well.
Yeah, I think it's more of a monitoring tool than it is a configuration tool.
No, it's a configuration tool. You can stand them up and start them up and stuff like that.
Oh.
Uptime Kuma is the monitoring tool. And I have that as well. So that tells you if things are up or down or whatever.
Okay.
And there's a whole thing on that. That's pretty great. But the other one that is new that I just heard about myself was Komodo. And
right, you
were pretty stoked about that as well.
Well, I liked it because it was the name, like a Komodo dragon. And they even say it in the GitHub README or whatever. A Komodo dragon is in the monitor lizard family, and I was like, oh yeah, you got me. You got me with the pun. Let's go.
And for all those fans out there, it's written in Rust. So that's the thing.
You said the R word.
I did. And that'll tie into something else later.
Ding! We need some kind of bell or something like that. The Rust is the word of the day. Yeah. So stay tuned for the next the next section. Rust is the topic.
So it I don't know if you're a fan or not. It doesn't matter. That's so that also looks like a up and coming thing, and it seems pretty great. So
it looks like if you haven't subscribed yet, I see you. Person that's not subscribed right now. You can do that. If you're watching us on YouTube, there's just that subscribe button right down there. Just click it. Just click that one. I think if you click it twice or something, there's also a bell. You get ding, and then anytime we post anything, you'll be notified. That's really cool. So anyway, all of our episodes, and then we go back and then trim each section out. All of that comes out on YouTube. All of the educational bits, though, also head over to Tilvids, because that's just the kind of vibe they have over there.
Edutainment.
That's the one.
Yep.
So yeah, so if you like just the educational bits that we do, the history bits, things like that, go check them out over on Tilvids. Make sure you subscribe. So this weird, cool Fediverse thing, you can subscribe from anywhere on the entire Fediverse. But like easy from Mastodon, you can just find us over at Linux User Space at Tilvids. And then subscribe to that. And that way, you don't have to hear our insane ramblings. You just get, when the episodes drop, you get a message. That's pretty cool.
Yep, shows up in your feed.
That is right. And if you like the work that we do, whether it's all the topic stuff, that's what you enjoy, or if you really enjoy the histories or the deep dives that we like to do, you can always send us a buck over at patreon.com/Linux User Space. You can also boost the Discord server, I think, and it gives us really big upload speed sizes.
Yeah, it does all kinds of stuff for us. Yeah,
I think we're well, I don't think we're capped out, but I think we've already got some of those.
Yeah, we're pretty good there. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the really cool things that it gives us is that people that sit in the booth, that so if you're, I think it's just the producers. When you're sitting in the booth, listening to us, watching us, doing that whole thing, it comes to you a higher quality that way.
Yes,
turns out, and the video quality is higher as well.
Yes.
So anyway, you get to benefit that on live stream days as well. So anyway, throw us a buck or two over on Patreon, or boost the server, or leave us a comment, or do whatever. Just get involved in the Linux user spaces.
Yeah. And, really, thank you all for your support. We truly appreciate it.